Okay, hands and ice. Hands and ice. All right, we've been reading Johnny Tremain. So first, before we read today, let's go ahead and mentally summarize what we remember from yesterday. So go ahead and hold up those cards. If you remember at least one thing that we read yesterday, that should be everyone. We have perfect attendance. At least one thing from yesterday. All right, Liam, help me out. What's something you remember?
That it wasn't Dove's fault that Johnny burnt his hand.
It wasn't Dove's fault that Johnny burnt his hand. Okay, let's expand a little bit more. What happened when Johnny burnt his hand? What happened? Carly?
So what happened was silver got all over it, and then they wrapped it, and they put like lime water over it, and then like 4 days after it happened, they took it off, and his hands all scabbed up.
Okay, so 4 days prior, Johnny had burnt his hand as he was working in the shop. Why did he burn his hand? Let's go back to that part first, because that is a main idea in this story. This is huge. This changes the course of Johnny's life. So what happened? Describe that to me. Describe that to me. Give me some details. Selena, what do you remember?
He was working on the spaghetti thing, and Dove was reaching for the powder, and I guess it fell, and that's how he burnt his hand.
Okay, let's add some more details to what Selena is saying. Some more details. Who handed him the cauldron? Who handed Johnny the cauldron? Who handed it to him? Camden.
Dove.
Dove did. And where did Dove get the cauldron from? Where did he get it from? Which we had a big ethics discussion about this yesterday. Emma.
He got it from the back of the shelf, and that's where all the cracked cauldron.
Okay, so Mr. Latham would put all the old tools and materials in the back, and on purpose, that is where Dove had reached to go ahead and stick it right down my table. Thank you. That is where he had got the cauldron from. So then we had this big discussion: did he do it on purpose or not? I don't know. So then it spilled all over Johnny's hand. It's burnt. So now the last 4 days, describe Johnny for me. This is still mentally summarizing. We're remembering what we read. We're summarizing what we read. So, what happened? What has Johnny been doing the last 4 days? What's going on? M&W.
He kind of feels like an outcast because of his hair.
Okay. What details from the story tell you that he feels like an outcast? How do we know?
Because I remember he said like he was walking around and it said that he felt like an alien.
He felt like an alien. They use that metaphor in the story. Metaphor. By the way, let's really quickly make a connection. Metaphor, just real quick. What is that called? Metaphor. When we learn about similes, we've learned about similes, metaphors, personification, hyperboles. What are all those? Let's make a connection to what we've learned in grammar. And reading. Look, this half of the room has some connections. You remember. What is that called? Laura.
It's when it's a sentence like connecting two different things without using like or as.
It's comparing two different unlike things without using like or as. But here's what I'm asking. Guys, if I had a file folder titled something, inside my file folder, I would have metaphors, I would have similes, I would have personification. What's the big idea of all those? What are those called? What would the name of that file folder be? Oh, come on. Some of you remember, think. What are all those different types of language called? What are they called? Glenn. Figurative language. Yay. Please give him a really big firecracker go. Figurative language. Thank you. Okay. Let's now do a little bit of reformatting before we start reading. So when you have an answer, I want you to hold up that card. All right. Pretend I have a file folder. In my file folder, that file folder is called characters. So give me a paper that I would put in there. If the main idea is characters, give me a paper that I would put in my file folder. I don't know. David.
John Hancock.
Okay, John Hancock. He is a character in our story, right? So he would be in that file folder. Now tell me about John Hancock. And by the way, you can pull from your social studies file folder too, in your brain, of course, right? We can pull because we've been learning about John Hancock in social studies. So tell me, what do we know? What are some details? What would I write on John Hancock's paper in my mind? What would I write? Trinity.
He signed the Constitution.
He signed the Constitution. How did he sign it? Who remembers that detail? And again, this is in social studies, but that's okay because he's a character in our book. How did he sign it? Jacob.
He signed it big so the king can read it without his glasses.
Yeah, he signed it super big so that the king could read it without his glasses. Kind of like, ha ha ha, see, my name's on this paper. Okay, who's another character? So we got our file folder characters. John Hancock. Who's another character? Another paper. Phil.
Dusty.
Dusty. What would I write on Dusty's paper? What do we know about Dusty? Tell me. Yep.
He is like an enemy to Johnny.
Yeah, Johnny and Dusty don't always get along. What else do we know about Dusty? What else do we know about him? What can I add to that paper? Oh, Henry, what can we add? What do you know about Dusty? What's a detail?
He's the one who pulled the cauldron and burned Johnny's hand.
Is he the one that pulled the cauldron? No, that's someone else whose name does start with a D. Let's see, let me help you. Is Dusty older than Johnny or younger? Is he older? Now, give him it's Coolio. It's Coolio. Henry, I like how your card was up and how you were trying. I do appreciate that. Tell me something else about Dusty. Help me, I'm still on Dusty. Gabby?
Dusty's the youngest and he kind of worships Johnny.
He's the youngest. See, we're not sure if he fears Johnny or if he does worship him. We're going to find out. We will gather more information later. Okay, so I have John Hancock. I have Dusty. I want two more. So someone give me another piece of paper to put in there. Another piece of paper. I love all these hands. You guys are so great. Hold on. I got to give you a point because I just have to. So, raise your roof for you, and I want to see it. Go. Thank you. Okay, Elena.
There's Dorcas, and she's
Dorcas? Okay, yes. There's Dorcas.
she's a little overweight. She tries to be skinnier.
Okay, so Dorcas, she's given me some details. She is overweight. She wants to be skinnier. What's something that she does to try to make herself pretty? Okay, which this is important so we can get a mental image. So what is another detail I would put on there? Annalise.
She puts this like thing over her and ties it.
The corset, and she ties it. And then what happens when she starts talking? Max.
It snacks.
Yeah, which that would be embarrassing. What else does she do before she leaves the house? Something that I bet you can connect with because you've probably used it at home. If you helped your mom or dad in the kitchen. Stetson?
She puts flour on her face to make her skin white.
Yeah, to make her skin white, she takes flour that you use for bread and baking and she sticks it all over her face. Okay, so we have John Hancock.